What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for an episode of player ratings. Long time since we've done some player ratings, since we got into the Champions League against Norwich. Obviously, this is going to be a long episode, seeing as the many players that Spurs did deploy out in Korea in their first pre-season friendly in the 6-3 win against Team K-League. And let's get straight into it. And let's start off with Brandon Austin. 6s all round from us. And, you know, he was fairly untested, to be honest, throughout that first half. There was the one that went straight down the throat that he punched away, but apart from that, there was not much in there from Brandon Austin. It was just that one powerful looping header that got past him, but I don't think there was much he could have done with that one.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was a quiet first half for him. They didn't have many attempts on goal. Most of them were off target. The one attempt that was on target was straight at him, and he was able, and he didn't really have a chance with the goal. Although it wasn't right in the corner, it was just ducking in under the crossbar. Couldn't do much with it. So, yeah, fairly untested.
All right, let's move on to Cuti Romero. 6s all round from us. He did play with his usual aggression and bite, but was fairly untested as well defensively for most of that first half. So not too much of note there for Cuti.
Yeah, I felt like actually his pressing was a bit off his game yesterday compared to how he usually is. Maybe that comes with fitness and time. First game back from pre-season. Obviously, he did a few forays forward. He did look genuinely disgusted with Emerson's own goal miss. He was not happy with that at all, which was very funny. He seemed sick of Emerson after that. And
that's the first game of pre-season.
Exactly, he's already sick of him. But look, it wasn't terrible. It just felt like usually he's so precise with his aggressive tackles, but he didn't quite pull off as many as he does in usual games. But aerially he was pretty dominant, and his passing was a bit loose as well. But so things to improve on.
Let's move on to Eric Dyer. 6s all round from us. Obviously started in the middle of a back three. Amazing goal from Eric Dyer to open off the scoring, channeling his inner Harry Kane, as Heung-min Son said in the post-match interview. The way he brought it out from defence, 1-2 with Bryan Gil and smashed it with his left foot into the top corner. Absolutely stunning goal. But question marks defensively yesterday with Eric Dyer with their first goal. Let the attacker come in between him and Sanchez, which I thought Dyer should have been tracking the run. Second half, I felt like he did leave the line pretty well, but still question marks over his defensive play in that second half. And it looked like as the game wore on, that second half, fatigue definitely caught up with him as he got taken off, I think, later on in the second half. So I think it was a mixed bag from Eric Dyer. Question marks definitely defensively, but you know he's got to go up a mark for that brilliant goal.
Yeah, got to say, what a finish. And we've seen the way he strikes his free kicks, that his technique when shooting could be pretty decent. So maybe we need to see more of that from Eric Dyer. And we know from his time in midfield that he can be maybe comfortable in those kind of areas. I agree, defensively he didn't look at his best. It wasn't just the goal, which he could have done better with, but literally a minute before that he got done with a dribble inside the box as well, which we were lucky that they fired just wide. But his passing was pretty strong. I thought his switches of play were really good. I thought he was playing some really nice passes over the top. Some of them didn't quite come off. But in general, look, I think it was a very open game. And Conte said he didn't expect high intensity from his players. I think we saw that on the pitch, and maybe that's why Dyer maybe didn't have the best defensive game. So, yeah, look, that's all I've got to say on Dyer.
All right, let's move on to his defensive partner in DAVINSON, Sanchez. Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. Started on the left of a back three, and he just didn't look too comfortable there at all, as he never really does when he does play there. Did have a good chance to get on the score sheet with a nice little play. I think it was a volley or just a strong shot, which the keeper was equal to. He did put a couple of decent challenges throughout the day, but one of those challenges could have been resulting in a penalty, which it probably should have done. Not too sure what he was doing for the goal late in the half, as the attacker got in between him and Dyer. Tried to swipe at the ball as well instead of challenging with his head, which he really should have done. And second half, I thought he did get a tiny bit better, but still not good enough for me from DAVINSON Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, his performance was capped off early on when he has the ball under no pressure and he passes it backwards completely to the K-League player, like through on goal. And that kind of summed up his early performance. And you're right, he didn't look comfortable at all playing that left centre-back role, which he very rarely does. Did have some good defensive moments in general, seeing things out for goal kicks and stuff like that. I don't think his passing was anything great. And yeah, defensively, I don't know why he's going with his foot for the first goal instead of going with his head. That was a bit bemusing to me.
It was comical, really.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Why didn't he just go lead with his head and he would have had a better chance of making the ball? So definitely things to improve on. But look, I'm not going to mark it. I marked him down as a 4 because I don't think he played too well. But I don't think it's indicative of maybe put him back on the right in a more functional defence, and he probably performs better.
I'm trying to be a bit more less harsh on my rating because it is the first game of pre-season back at the end of the day, so you got to give the players that. But anyway, let's move on to Emerson Royale. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. And it was a good display from Emerson. Started on the right wing back. He was providing positively for the team for the most part by hitting the byline, getting good crosses in, accurate crosses as well. There was one that really stood out to me for Richarlison late in the half where Richarlison maybe could have done better with. He was also coming into midfield a lot to help out the team, which we haven't really seen a lot of Emerson do in last season. So I think that was definitely a plus mark for him. He did miss a very gilt-edged chance though after that Richarlison Maisie run where he had the whole goal to aim at and kind of stretched and it just went wide. But all in all, I think it was a good display from Emerson.
Yeah, look, 3 times he got into attacking positions and he put in good crosses and was able to find a man. One of them, SESSEGNON volleyed well wide. One of them, Richarlison couldn't get enough perch on his head. Another one, Brian Hill got the ball stuck under his feet, but that's not Emerson's fault. I think he did his job pretty well. I thought his pressing was not the most aggressive, could have been a bit better, but I do think defensively he was okay as well. So all in all, pretty happy with Emerson and how he performed. And the biggest criticism's always been his final ball, and I thought his final ball was pretty good yesterday. So got to give him credit where it's due.
Absolutely.
Except for the open goal, obviously.
Yeah. Rodrigo Bentancur in the middle of a double pivot. Sim gave him a 7. I gave him a 6. And he was definitely making his presence known in the middle of the park there with some really strong tackling. He did lose the ball a few times in the middle of the park, but he did show good desire to go and win the ball straight back, which I love to see from Rodrigo. Showed some nice passing at times as well. And also early in the first half, I believe he had a shot blocked, which could have gone the other way. So again, I think not a bad display from Bentancur. People were quite pleased on the fan show with his display as well.
Yeah, I thought he was gliding around the pitch really nicely. I thought it was really aggressive. He had that moment where he was driving into the final third, which we don't see anywhere near enough of Bentancur doing this kind of stuff, but maybe his shot was probably why. But it was a shot on his left peg, weaker foot, but it didn't quite catch it and obviously got blocked and was away. It was one of those moments where you want to see a bit more from him. And we do see a bit of nervousness when he does get in the final third. You see when we played Norwich, he could have taken that when we back in last season, he could have had that one-on-one. He decided to let it off instead of going alone. It shows maybe a lack of confidence in the final third from him. But I thought he, in general, played really, really well, and it was patrolling midfield areas really strongly. So I was happy with him.
Absolutely. And his midfield partner, Ollie Skip, 8s all round from us, and it was so good. So good to see Skippy back on the pitch after so long. And it felt like a proper classic Skippy performance in that first half, winning the ball back time and time again, whilst also showing brilliant passing range. Another all-action display from Ollie Skip.
Yeah, I thought he was full of composure. He was nearly back, looking as sharp as ever on his return from injury, which was really great to see. I'm really excited about Ollie Skip this season, considering how well he was playing even with an injury. I'm excited to see what he can do under Conte with more time as well, and the talent he has. And I thought it was a really great return from him. I thought when he was on the pitch, he was head and shoulders above everyone else. I really felt that. So brilliant display.
All right, let's move on to Ryan SESSEGNON, left wing back from the first half. I felt like the K-League right winger actually gave him a bit of a hard time in that first half defensively, but he did, going forward, he did stretch the play quite well, put in a fairly decent cross for Richarlison, where he should have done better with that diving header. But all in all, I probably would like to see more from SESSEGNON.
Yeah, I thought he put in some nice crosses, which didn't lead to much, but also we got to the byline a few times as his crosses were getting blocked. What I did like was his willingness to take on his man a bit more, which was nice to see, although want to see him getting a bit more success in that, even though he's getting more willing. Well, he did have one chance really to get on the score sheet. He had a volley from an Emerson cross to the back post, which he skewed horribly. Didn't even go out of play. It was how bad the shot was. So needs to improve that. But I do think he could. It's a very important season for SESSEGNON, and I'm hoping that he can learn as much as he can on to become the best wing back he can be, because I really believe he's got the quality to be a really good wing back for us, and we just want to see it more often.
Yeah. Moving on to Brian Hill, Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 6. He was bright and buzzing around like he always is, grabbed himself an assist with that 1-2 for Eric Dyer's goal. He was dropping deep a fair amount in the game into the middle of the park to try and progress the ball up the pitch, which I felt he did quite well, but he was fairly wasteful for the most part, to be honest.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with some of his decision making and some of his quality in the final third. I thought it was a bit sloppy, and it was a bit overhitting passes and not making the right pass. However, when he was in the middle third kind of area of the pitch, he was making nice 1-2s. He was dribbling really nicely. He was picking out nice passes. But once he got a bit further forward, that's when the trouble came. So maybe that's something. Maybe it's something to keep an eye on if he's better in deeper areas.
Could put him into our new Modric.
Yeah, maybe. I mean. Who knows? I don't know if he has the passing range for Modric. You have to it's more than just dribbling. So it's interesting to see what his best positions are. I still don't think we've ever figured it out. We've tried him on the left, on the right, in the centre.
Didn't we do that with Modric when he first came as well?
We did, but that was more on us because he was always playing centre mid for Croatia and he was class there. We just felt like he was better on the left because we didn't believe in his physicality, but we were wrong because as soon as we put him in centre mid, he was amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we've got to look at with Gil. I don't know. But for me, good. He played really well in some moments, but also was frustrating in others. So that's why I gave him a 5.
Let's move on to Richarlison. A debut for Spurs, albeit in a friendly, 6s all round from us. And he did see quite a bit of the ball, was showing some good skill at times, especially when he beat a couple of men in the box. And then Emerson obviously missed that open goal. He definitely should have had a goal at some point during the game. But his first touch did seem, and his passing, to be fair, did seem a bit off at times. Probably to be expected to be his first game back after for pre-season. But it just felt like a lot of things just didn't come off for him on the day. Really impressed with his fitness and energy levels, and showed his versatility as well, playing all 3 different positions, albeit he only played on the left hand side just for a minute before Sonny came on in the second half. But there were good things in there from Richarlison for sure, and I really like his attitude on the pitch. Conte seemed to like what he saw as well at times, and the energy that he showed throughout the period he was on the pitch was really impressive to me, because a lot of players you saw seemed to flag towards the end when before they got taken off in that second half, but Richarlison just seemed to keep going. So that's a plus in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I think early on, his touch was a bit off it. His passing was really sloppy. Like there was a few passes where you're expecting a bit of quality from your forward players, and every time he seemed to look to pull off a pass, it was getting intercepted or was too long or stuff like that. So that was disappointing. However, did feel like he really grew into the game well. Obviously had that chance early in the first half where he rounded the keeper, bit of a heavy touch which allowed a defender to get a touch, and Emerson obviously ended up missing the open goal. I thought his movement was really strong, always looking for the run in behind, and he could have been picked out a few times with a better pass into him. I also felt like his hold up play did get better as the game wore on, especially when the ball was played to his chest. His control seemed better than when it was with his feet, which was interesting. And I think his dribbling when looking to hold the play up when he's on his own was really strong. He was able to win a lot of free kicks and set pieces and stuff like that. And I think he might have found his passing range by the second half because he played a lovely weighted through ball to Heung-min Son, who ultimately got one of their defenders sent off. So that was really an improvement. However, didn't get his first goal, which is a shame. Hopefully he won't have to wait too long. So yeah, look, some bad stuff early on, but I think he grew in and was a decent display overall.
All right, and let's move on to Lucas Moura, who started on the right-hand side of the number 10. Sim gave him a 7, I gave him a 6. Was trying to make stuff happen for Spurs, getting the ball from deep, driving at the Korean defence. Another one who worked really hard for the team. Moved to wing-back early in the second half when Emerson came off for Sonny. I thought he looked good on the ball at the start, but did start to tire, in my opinion, and then... I guess he was taken off. Was he taken off? No, he wasn't taken off. But,
He was taken off.
Oh, sorry, he was taken off. And in my opinion, quite rightly so, because he was starting to flag a bit. But did grab himself assist in the making with Kane's pole driver.
Yeah, obviously he played the latter part of the game at right wing back, and he was decent there. He did a decent job. I thought first half, actually, he was one of our biggest threats. I feel like when he's in that dribbling mood, he's very hard to stop.
Yeah.
You know, when he gets the ball and he gets face up with you, he can just breeze past you like you're not there. And he was creating opportunities and problems for the K-League. Again, a few moments where he could have made a better decision and his passing was wrongly weighted. It was a bit off it, but I thought his dribbling was really strong. And every time he got the ball, he looked like he was being dangerous. And it was interesting to see that with Gil and Lucas on the pitch, he chose Lucas on the left and Gil on the right, and maybe we're going to see Lucas more off the left. But then again, with Richarlison there, maybe not. But I did find it interesting. He played him there.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the second half subs. LLORIS came on at halftime for Brandon Austin. We gave him 4s all round. A bit of a letdown, LLORIS, yesterday, to be honest. Conceded 2 goals. The first one he did see late through a ton of players, but I still felt like he should have done better. He got a hand to it, and I felt he probably had enough there to palm the ball away. Second one was the free kick at his near post, gets beaten. Yes, fine, he wasn't helped by the wall, as the wall literally split like the Red Sea, but I still think LLORIS should be doing better at his near post there. Good distribution on show with a really nice kick out to Richarlison at one stage, but ultimately he should be doing better, Hugo.
Yeah, the 2 goals I think he'll be disappointed with. But the first one wasn't right in the corner. The shot was low, which he's usually very good at getting, and he did get a decent hand to it, and it wasn't right in the corner. Even though he saw it late, a keeper of his standard will be disappointed with letting that one in. And then the second... It was right in the corner, to be fair. It was a good strike, but he will be disappointed that he got caught out like that. And especially because he got across and he kind of seemed to pull out late on of maybe he just felt like he couldn't get it. But he'll be disappointed getting caught out at the near post like that from a free kick. So other than that, didn't have too much to do, to be fair. You know, they had the 2 moments they scored, but other than that, wasn't loads of shots. So that's what we gave him before.
All right, let's move on to Matt Doherty. 6s all round from us. Came on second half at left wing back for his first game back in a while for Matt. So I thought he showed some nice link up play with Sonny at times, but ultimately I don't think he was involved too much. So not much to say there.
Yeah, he started on the left, didn't he? And then he moved over to the right once Lucas got taken off. Didn't see him in his usual positions, you know, right in the final third, really trying to make a difference there, which is where we like to see Matt Doherty. I felt Emerson was actually got forward a lot more than Doherty did when he was on the pitch, but maybe you can blame that on Doherty starting out on the left. But I did think he looked fairly comfortable. I don't think he looked like he was struggling back from his injury. It looks like he's recovered well from that, which is really good. But still, you know, want to see him back in the final third. Like that's where he's at his best.
Moving on to Japhet Tanganga, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. Also another one that came on in that second half. And I actually felt like he was actually our best defender on the day. Doesn't say much because the defence wasn't at his greatest, but he lined up on that right-hand side, which is probably his most favoured position now. And I felt his 1v1 defending was really strong, and he did everything that was required from him on the day.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I don't think he was incredible. I thought on the ball, could have seen a bit more ball progression from him, but I thought he kept it safe, kept it simple. Don't think he was beaten too many times in that position, so not too much to shout about. But you know, to be a wide centre back in Conte's system, you just need a bit more about you, and that's just what I question.
Yeah,
especially on the ball.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Let's move on to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. 6s all round from us. Brought energy to midfield, that's for sure. He kept it nice and simple, calm and composed on the ball, and kept things ticking along, and was really driving us forward at times, but for the most part just kept it simple.
Yeah, wasn't driving forward too many times. He left the attacking to the front three, but I thought he brought nice energy in the midfield. I don't think he was as energetic as we're used to seeing him, but I thought he was okay. Wasn't really a liability, and yeah, not too much to say about Højbjerg.
All right, let's move on to Pape Matar Sarr. 6s all round from us, and he's a player that we've been really excited to see after signing him last summer. It's the first time we've seen him in a Spurs shirt. And I felt like when he came on, he looked to move the ball quickly with some really nice one-touch passing to keep things ticking in the middle of the park. Did bring a bit more energy into the midfield when he did come on. But after that, I felt like he was just playing it a bit too safe, and also was rushing his play a little bit, and that saw a bit of a few misplaced passes. But I did think that it wasn't a great display from Pape Sarr, but I did think that from seeing him on the pitch, I felt like he's got a lot more to bring, and that I think that he could be a really valuable asset to Tottenham. I do like the look of him, to be honest, but he wasn't particularly good on the day.
Yeah, I felt like maybe because I don't know whether it was because it was his debut or something, but from what I've seen, this guy can do. He definitely didn't like long raking passes or anything like that. He driving forward, dribbling ability. Didn't see too much of that. I felt like he rushed to give the ball, not give it away, but once he got it, he didn't want to hang on to it too long. I felt like a few times he could have taken a touch and he played a first time pass, and he didn't always give it away, but occasionally he did, and that was a bit disappointing. But he was nice, he was neat, he was tidy, had nice technique on his passing, but didn't see any adventure, didn't see any of that X factor that he possibly does have in him. So maybe it was just because it was his first game, but I agree. I think he was a bit too safe.
And I think though what you're talking about will come over time, and I'm hoping to see him a lot more in the next few friendlies, because I did see glimpses of a player there which I really like. So we'll see what happens there. Let's move on to the two big hitters. First one, Heung-min Son. 8s all round from us, and he gave Team K-League a torrid time after he came on with his runs in behind. Obviously, the first action was slotting that penalty down the middle after Harry really nicely let him take it after that really strange handball, as the player just seemed to catch it with both hands. Capitalised on poor defending, where picking up the ball deep into the K-League half and rounding the defenders, rounding the keepers, and obviously slotting the ball away. He looked really happy on the pitch and also off the pitch, having played in Korea with Spurs. His interviews, he seems like he has that bit of extra happiness and confidence about him. He also won the free kick with a lung-busting run, driving through the heart of their midfield and defence, which ultimately got the opposition player sent off as well. So a really good display from Sonny. Yeah,
and look, in all honesty, the two goals that he scored were given to him. His second goal was literally passed straight to him on the edge of the area, and he rounded the keeper and scored. And then the penalty was a ridiculous handball. But he did cause the K-League loads of trouble. Apart from that, as you say, Richarlison played him through on goal, and he would have scored if he wasn't tripped up just before pulling the trigger. And he was also when he was on a hat-trick, he was trying his best to get it, but he couldn't quite make the most of a few opportunities. He had one with a header and a late one where he took an air kick, air swipe with the ball. And then he also was trying his best to set up Troy Parrott for a chance. A few times he was playing a couple nice through balls to Troy Parrott, but they just didn't quite come off for him. Yeah, really good 45 minutes from him, and to all the delight of the Korean fans who were there to see him.
Exactly. It felt a bit like after he came on, it was just like the Sonny show.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, just give him a goal, get the crowd. Like, that's what they're all here for. Go on, pass it to him, just do it.
Last but not least, Harry Kane. 9s all round from us, and Harry Kane doing exactly what Harry Kane does. Within minutes of coming on, he robs the defender from the K-League deep in their own half and putting a lovely cross, which was headed straight for Richarlison, but they knocked it in the back of their own net, and then scored with a lovely effort outside the box. Nice pile driver into the bottom corner that found the back post, and then he finally scored a free kick as well, albeit a heavily deflected one, but that's straight out of the Gianni Vio playbook.
Yeah, look, he was a class above anyone. He set the tone with that brilliant assist for the goal to pass 2-1 up straight away. That left-footed finish as well from 25 yards with power into the side netting is so underrated. How difficult that is to do, but he can do that with his eyes closed. Harry Kane, what a brilliant finish that was. It was just classic Harry Kane, and despite him looking dead on his feet on Monday, he looked like he was as sharp as ever when he came on the pitch on Wednesday. So really looking forward to what this season is going to bring for him. He was probably, for me, the best player in the league in the second half of the last season, and if he can carry on that form, who knows what we can achieve.
Absolutely. So that is our player ratings. Any mention quickly on the substitutes? I mean,
Harvey White got a lot of praise, didn't he, for his cameo. Brilliant. I thought he played really well, to be fair. Got to give him credit for how he performed when he came on, especially defensively. I thought nothing got past him, and he was playing really strong performances.
I mean, apart from that, not really any other player shone because there wasn't too much time. But I thought Troy Parrott looked bright. Yeah,
he did. He was getting in behind a couple of times, and obviously there was one moment where he cut inside and shot and forced a save from the keeper, and another moment where he had a shot blocked. So he was definitely looking to impress. So Parrott looked decent, and then Walcott and Sayers didn't. Not too much of a note for them, but they were only on for a bit. So
they were down to 10 men. They hardly attacked after that.
So there was not much to say about that.
All right, so that is our player ratings for the first pre-season game, 6-3 against Team K-League. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Let me know your player ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.